of Change News.
Good day, welcome to Voice of Change Radio News. I'm Amanda Kumalo. Thank you for joining us. A look at the top stories. ZIM strikes gold in the US. Presidential gold scheme ready to take off. In business news, 9 billion gold coins sold as individuals join rush. In regional and international news, over 300 people die in flooding in Nigeria. In sports, ZIFA forensic audit ready for release. The news in detail. President Mnangagwa returned home proudly from the United States, where he received the backing of dozens of African countries for the unconditional removal of illegal sanctions imposed by Washington and other Western nations, while a group of investment fund managers is lining up multi-billion-dollar projects for Zimbabwe. The group of billionaires and fund managers from the US is expected mid-next month after being charmed by President Mnangagwa, who outlined abundant opportunities in the country during a business endeavor in the heartland of New York, the World Trade and Commercial Hub. Speaking on arrival at the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport, the president said the support from other African states was heartening. The first 30,000 goats under the Presidential Goat Scheme, which seeks to boost breeding stock and increase numbers and quality, will be distributed to provinces over the next 2 months. The program, which was launched in Chipinge this month, will eventually see more than 600,000 goats being distributed to the small-scale sector. The scheme is among a raft of measures launched by the Second Republic in crop and livestock sectors to rapidly build the output and capacity of small-scale sectors and ensure the overwhelming majority of rural households are able to enter the commercial sector. The scheme is set to benefit the elderly, women-headed families, people living with disabilities, and child-headed families. First Lady Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa held a heart-to-heart insightful discussion with Commissioner Cecil Noel from the New York City Mayor's Office to end domestic and gender-based violence on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, where they shared notes on how to tame this scourge, which is ripping families and communities apart. Commissioner Noel commended Dr. Mnangagwa for her tremendous work in fighting gender-based violence in all its forms in Zimbabwe, adding that her door was open for partnership with her. She also emphasized the need for regular engagements with the First Lady to foster knowledge transfer on possible solutions to address gender-based violence. In business news, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe says gold coins worth $9 billion have been sold since July this year, with individuals taking a substantial amount of the gold, while the Monetary Policy Committee has kept the bank policy rate unchanged. The Mosatunya gold coins are among interventions introduced by authorities to stabilize the economy, including a sharp increase in the bank policy rate from 80 to 200%. Inflation and the exchange rate have largely been stable since the government heightened interventions to squeeze excess liquidity from the market, with the local currency appreciating against the US dollar on the black market, while inflation has started falling. A look at what is happening in Africa and abroad. Across Nigeria, devastating floods continue to ravage farmlands, destroy crops, forcing tens of thousands of people to abandon their homes. At least 300 people have died so far this year, and it's believed that some 100,000 people have been displaced and are now living in temporary shelters. The flooding has affected an estimated 500,000 people and destroyed infrastructure and farmland in 27 of Nigeria's 36 states and the capital city. Moving on to the world of sports. It's now the final countdown as domestic football awaits the release of the forensic audit into the ZIFA financial affairs anytime soon. The completion of the exercise is one of the requirements which the Sports and Recreation Commission have outlined as part of the process to cleanse the national game. The National Sports Regulator gave a timeline in which they expected the audit to be completed by the end of this month. There are only a few days left before the month comes to an end, and the expected release of the findings appears to have become the dominant subject in the local football. ZIFA acting president Gifty Banda said they were eagerly awaiting the completion of the exercise. That brings us to the end of this bulletin.
Voice of Change News.